So good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for joining us. My name is Todd Copeland and I'm the General Manager of Community Futures Middlesex, the Business Help Center. Today is our information session for the Middlesex Youth Entrepreneurship Initiative. This session is really intended to launch this initiative and provide some additional information and insight on how you can participate. The agenda for today will begin with an inspirational story of an entrepreneur who started his journey as a youth. Then we'll hear messages from the partners and sponsors for this initiative, including Middlesex County and RBC. Finally, we'll formally introduce the initiative, outlining the application process and important dates and timelines, as well as briefly highlight a few qualities or traits of a successful, what we consider a successful entrepreneur. With that being said, I'm pleased to introduce the first speaker of today's session. We're grateful that he's been able to join us, particularly you can see, I think he's on the road right now, south of the border, but I appreciate him volunteering his time and sharing his experience as a youth entrepreneur. Scott Hill is a seasoned entrepreneur with lots of experience in the sports industry. After completing his MBA at Western University, he launched Play On Canada in 2003. Scott's venture grew to become the largest mass participation sporting event in Canadian history, achieving a Guinness World Record for the largest street hockey tournament ever held. In addition to serving as the chairman of Play On Canada, Scott is the vice president of our board at Community Futures Middlesex. He has membership on our executive as well as our loans committee, and he has a passion for supporting youth entrepreneurs and risk takers. We would once again like to thank him for taking the time out of his busy schedule to be with us today. And Scott, if you can take it away from us, that would be great.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be with you and this opportunity. I want to applaud Todd and Aiden and the Community Futures Development Corporation of Middlesex, as well as the county and Cara and Carolina and RBC. Thank you for your support of entrepreneurship in Middlesex Center, Middlesex County. So I am a resident of Kilworth, and actually calling in today with a few technical difficulties from Idaho Falls. I have been driving out here the last couple of days with my two children who are starting university, and I'm in a hotel lobby right now. Apologize, I did have a little presentation that I wanted to share, and maybe I can share that afterwards. But due to internet connection problems in the hotel, it seems like the story of entrepreneurship always challenges, and of course that affects us all everywhere, but technical problems this morning. But Todd asked me to, I guess, share what he described as an inspirational story. I appreciate that compliment. I don't know if my story is indeed inspirational, but having been asked to share it, I will attempt to do so. It is a very personal story, and of course, in sharing it, I guess in my mind are thoughts about desiring to encourage others, particularly in our region, who may be passionate about solving a certain problem, and who may, be thinking about whether or not to take a big leap to go that direction. And so, oftentimes, at least in my experience, entrepreneurs aren't even really super comfortable with that word entrepreneurs. In fact, I know that I wasn't. And when I started out as a youth, I was 26 years old when I graduated from Ivy's MBA program, and certainly had never even crossed my mind that I would ever start a venture. I didn't intend to do so. But I guess the story for me was that I graduated as the youngest person in a class of fairly experienced individuals. Most of the people in the Ivy program when I was there were average age of about 31, and or at least that's what I was told, and had more maybe life and work experience. And our class graduated, several months after the events of September 11th, 2001, and a number of the consulting firms and investment banks where all of us were hoping to land opportunities didn't hire that year. So after, in the following year, in May, June, July, when I was in the market for a job, 75% of my class was in the same situation. And so a lot of us were unable to find opportunities in that field. And we were basically forced into trying to create things to provide for our families and for ourselves. So that's a little bit about kind of what led me down the path that I went. But just a little bit more background. I grew up in small town Ontario, Kingsville, Ontario. I was very passionate about sport, particularly amateur and participatory sport. I played house league hockey and house league baseball and soccer. But I was really very passionate about my involvement in those things. And after high school, I actually decided to move out to Alberta, and I went to the University of Alberta, where I got involved very much in intramurals at the university level and became involved in administering intramurals at the university, but also landed a job at the Edmonton Oilers and had my first opportunity to kind of work in professional sport. Those were some of the things that I think led to to the journey that I eventually went down. But because I moved to Alberta, yet was raised in Ontario, I acquired kind of a national perspective and became kind of aware of the challenges that exist in various regions of the country. And so I began to think more about, some of those challenges and differences. And I think that informed my decision at one point to create a national nation building event like Play On. But after I finished at the University of Alberta, I moved back to Ontario, enrolled at the business school. And really what happened is in that environment where a number of our colleagues weren't able to find employment after graduating, I remember going downtown to downtown London to watch the NBA. They held a 3-on-3 basketball event. It was really a marketing initiative for them. It was called NBA Hoop It Up. And I didn't play in it. I would have loved to have played in it. But my younger brother had put a team in. And so I watched his team play, and I was so impressed with what the NBA had done. And I remember that year there were more than 1,200 basketball teams playing on the streets in downtown London around Victoria Park. And as I watched that and was just so impressed with the number of youth and adults and people of all skill levels. There were people that were excellent basketball players, but there were a lot more people that have really played very little basketball. And it was just so inclusive and such a great community building event and great for the sport. Anyways, I watched that, and I've of course studied events like this a lot over the years, but that event, really, it was at that event where I had the idea to create a national road hockey event, because I thought, I knew there was 3 hockey players in Canada to every 1 basketball player. And I just thought there were so many cultural connections to the pastime of road hockey. And I thought, about opportunities there. And ultimately, that's what started me down the journey. But I was very young, as was mentioned. And I know that many on the call today, or who will watch this recording, are what we categorize as youth. I was quite naive, certainly oblivious to a lot of the challenges that I would face. But I had the business background, and I did put together what I thought was a pretty strong business plan. And after spending several months working on that, I was able to eventually, and it was difficult, network into a meeting with the NHL. Now the NHL said no, but we after we made our presentation to them, and I of course still remember that day and my first kind of meeting with them. But it led me to have a desire to really prove them wrong, and so that is why I decided to proceed with the venture at great, personal sacrifice and significant risk. And I know in a little bit later in the presentation, and we're going to be kind of talking about the entrepreneurial mindset and some of the things that I guess a person who wants to go this direction, attributes a person may need to possess. And I would encourage you to think carefully about those attributes, because I've recognized as I've looked through the presentation what's to come that they they very much are necessary, as you progress forward. There were so many challenges and so many hurdles and so many obstacles. And even now, 18, 19, 20 years later, there are still many challenges and hurdles and obstacles. But we ran that first event in Halifax in 2003, and we got a little bit lucky. The Trailer Park Boys were a new emerging media entity. They had a movie coming out. They're all from Halifax. They signed up a team to play in our road hockey event. The radio station, television station got all excited, and more people kind of piled on. And we ended up having our first play on road hockey event, attracted more than 120 teams. And we were able to just get some great crowd shots and demonstrate, that this model, that, this new sort of industry, mass participation street hockey was a viable, industry. And anyways, that event nearly killed me. There was so much I didn't know about running events, but we were able to take the testimonials and pictures back to the NHL later that year, and ultimately then we were able to get their support. The program really caught, I guess, wind in its sails in 2007. So 4 years after I started it, when the CBC and Hockey Night in Canada took interest in it, and they became our funding and media sponsor, and allowed us to to really roll the program out in a more aggressive way right across the country. But we ended up operating it 170 times. So we ran the events in 170 locations, 36 different cities, some of those cities many times. More than 2 million Canadians participated in the events, and we did it all quietly. Most of that time I ran the whole project out of my home. It became a very nice little business that provided for our family and allowed me to work hard, kind of a good chunk of the year, while still having some time at other parts of the year that I could be a husband and father. And really, that's the only reason I ever created the project in the first place, was just that I wanted to be able to provide for our family. But I think of the story, and I realize my time's up. I was asked to speak for about this much time, but really, the venture was a true labor of love, where I was not so much passionate about road hockey per se, but I was passionate about the friendships that were created through sport. And most of the good friends that I have in my life were created, because I played on a team with that individual, and those friendships kind of became deep as a result. And that was really the thing that I was most passionate about, was bringing people together, bringing communities together, and ultimately bringing Canada together. Canada is a community of communities, and very much a series of silos when you look at the way the provinces generally work. But I was raised in a home where Canada we cared a lot about Canada, and we cared a lot about hockey, and we cared a lot about sport. And my life has been richly blessed by this venture and this opportunity, and we're hoping to bring the project back after COVID-19. But I want to, I guess I'll wrap up there. I apologize that my presentation, you just had to sit and listen to me. I hope that has gone over as well as it could have under the circumstances. And I have to apologize as well that I'm not able to stick around for the remainder of the presentation, just because of commitments at the bank that we have to get our kids set up down here. But I thank you, and want to let you know that I want to be a resource to entrepreneurs in our community. I recognize how difficult it can be. I guess I'll wrap up with one quick story. It's not really a positive story, but I share it as intending to show how far we've come, that we have a program like this being announced today. When I started out, I remember we were trying to hold an event in London, and I went down to City Hall because there was a meeting that had been called about whether or not the city wanted to strategically focus on this type of mass participation events in its core. And I was, of course, advocating that these types of events should go forward. Tourism London was advocating against. They felt like resources should be dedicated more to national championship and international championship events and not community events like this one. And anyways, I was a local entrepreneur with a big dream, and I was obviously very committed to what I was doing, but the infrastructure with the city and economic development generally was working against me. To instead of supporting us, they were trying to prevent us from going forward. And I remember the general manager of Tourism London, he got up and he shared in that meeting in front of city council, or the committee representing the council. I apologize. It was a committee, and he just said, these events don't provide value to the community, and it was essentially that succinct. And I basically said, anyways, everything that Tourism London feels about these events is incorrect, and we need to invest in these events, and we need to bring communities together through them. Ultimately, we know what happened, and the events went forward, and our London event attracted more than 25,000 people a year for more than a decade. Anyways, I just share that I'm grateful that we have now an infrastructure of Middlesex County's here, RBC's here, obviously Community Futures is here, and right across the country there's more focus on identifying entrepreneurs and supporting entrepreneurs and those who really want to make a difference. So I'll wrap up there, and Todd, if there are any who would like to speak to me about my experience or about how I can support them in their journey, you know where to reach me, and please make that connection. Thanks, everybody.
Well, thank you, Scott, and thank you for accommodating us today. I know you're busy with your kids, moving them and settling them at school. Definitely, I think maybe, Scott, if you can forward along your presentation. I think I've seen that presentation a few times, and I think participants would probably be interested in that. We'd be willing to share that with all those that registered or will register in the future for this program. But it definitely, I think you really demonstrated that you just have to be responsive and dynamic, and enjoy the journey. But you're going to run into hurdles and overcome, but it's perseverance and passion that will get you to where you need to be. So that's great. But appreciate your time, Scott, and we'll see you when you get back to the London region. As I thank Scott there, the next part of the program is to provide our sponsors and partners with an opportunity to say a few words. We could not have done this initiative without the financial support of RBC and Middlesex County. We're excited to be able to offer participants that are going to be involved in this program with access to some tools and resources to help build skill sets. And we'll talk about that in a bit with the GoForth Institute. But, it's the financial support from these partners that has really enabled us to do this. And we greatly appreciate the commitment and the support that they're going to provide to participants in the program. So first up, we have the Director of Economic Development for Middlesex County, as well as co-chair of the Middlesex Workforce Development Partnership, Cara. Through Invest in Middlesex and Visit Middlesex, Cara oversees all the economic development and tourism initiatives across the county. Her department's work continues to receive numerous awards in video technology and new media at both provincial and national levels. Cara is also credited and recognized as an established relationship builder and active volunteer, and she serves as an advisor to various different organizations in Middlesex, London, and across southwestern Ontario. So thank you, Cara, for joining us today, and I'll hand it over to you to say a few words.
Well, thank you so much, Todd, and welcome everybody to a pretty exciting initiative that we're extremely thrilled to be a member of sponsoring, and I'd like to thank RBC for their donation as well to this very worthwhile program. So my history is that I've been working in business and economic development in southwestern Ontario for a lifetime. I started my career at the age of 21 as a business consultant in Lambton County for new entrepreneurs, both youth and adult. I have an extreme passion for young entrepreneurs and have had the bonus of being involved in a number of initiatives to foster that in Lambton and Middlesex counties over the last 25 years. So we're always excited about new things that can bring forward new education. The County of Middlesex, I mean, I'm so delighted that Scott shared his story. I know Scott, and we're very proud to have him as an entrepreneur in Middlesex County and to feel his passion for budding entrepreneurs and the community as a whole. And Middlesex really has put itself on the map as being a very supportive one that sees the benefit of all types of initiatives, including those like Scott's, which are sport and tourism related, into our economic development. And so we're here to tell you that congratulations on your first steps of looking at small business as your future. We see tremendous benefit in having people like yourselves looking to invest in our communities. We look forward to seeing you figure out what it is that works best for you, finding your passion and living through it. And so thank you to Todd and his group at CFTC for all of their investment and for bringing this opportunity to the fold for those in Middlesex County. We're delighted to see the results and to hopefully eventually be putting your businesses on the Middlesex map for all to share. So thanks so much for having me. Good luck with your program and enjoy it.
Of course, we talked about being resilient and responding to different things. Actually, Carolina, who's representing our RBC today, actually, she called me like just earlier this morning, and she's away too and also traveling, and her flight got delayed. And so she's actually in the air right now. So it's always good to have a backup plan. And that backup plan today is in Bunker, and she's joining us from RBC to fill in for Carolina this morning. So I'll hand it over to Anne, and she can introduce herself and RBC's involvement in this program.
Great. Thanks, Todd. Hi, everyone. My name is Anne Bunker. I'm very much delighted to be with you here today in Carolina's absence for this information session. Events like this are always a real highlight for me in my role as a commercial account manager with RBC in the London Lambton market. Our purpose as an organization is helping clients thrive and communities prosper. And this purpose mobilizes us to create meaningful value, not just in everything we do as a bank, but also in ways that extend beyond our walls. RBC supports a broad range of community initiatives through donations, community investments, and employee volunteer activities. And investing in youth has been a longstanding priority of the bank. That's why RBC is proud to support Community Futures Middlesex and the work they are doing to help youth entrepreneurs navigate the world of business through the Middlesex Youth Entrepreneur Initiative. Now more than ever, Canada's job market is changing. It's taking a toll on young Canadians. According to Stats Canada, youth unemployment is now at 30%, which is higher than any other age range. Young people are optimistic, but they are increasingly feeling uncertain about their futures, and they face many barriers to their success. We have a responsibility to help prepare young people for the unprecedented economic and technological changes that are taking place in the world today. And this is where RBC Future Launch comes in, our commitment to empower Canadian youth for the jobs of tomorrow in a drastically changing workforce. Over a 10-year period, RBC will be dedicating our knowledge, skills, and resources to help young people across the country access meaningful employment through practical work experience, skills development opportunities, networking solutions, and mental well-being supports and services. We will go more into depth about RBC Future Launch at an upcoming session, but in the meantime, I would encourage you to visit rbc.com/future launch to check out some of the incredible resources that are available. By empowering and supporting our youth, we can help them gain the skills, networks, and experience they need to be successful. We know programs like this one can transform lives and have a powerful positive impact on our communities. This entrepreneurship training program will develop and refine your skills in a variety of areas, in addition to growing your networks and your experiences. So on behalf of the team here at RBC and on behalf of Carolina, I sincerely wish you all the best of luck with the Middlesex Youth Entrepreneur Initiative and your future entrepreneurial endeavors. We're so happy to be able to support Community Futures Middlesex with this very meaningful program. With that, I'll hand it back to you, Todd.
Great. Thanks, Anne. I appreciate you filling in and for Carolina, and you did a great job. And we look forward to working along with RBC and throughout this initiative. And as you mentioned, Anne, we'll have a future session where some additional resources that are available through the RBC Future Launch will be made available to participants in the program. And we're really excited about that too, because it's just the more resources and tools that are made available to people that are going along this journey, the better, right? So thank you very much for your time today, and we look forward to working with you around this initiative. Now we'll get into a bit more about the Middlesex Youth Entrepreneurship Initiative and outlining some more about the application process that we've put in place and some important deadlines and dates, I guess, that are associated with that. And before I do that, I'll just give a quick overview of the initiative. So the Middlesex Youth Entrepreneurship Initiative will enroll up to 10 Middlesex County youth in an online training program delivered by GoForth Institute. This entrepreneur training program is a virtual training program that's available 24/7. It focuses on developing the business knowledge and skill sets of its participants. To be eligible for the Middlesex Youth Entrepreneurship Initiative, the applicants must fall under the Government of Canada's definition of youth. And for the purposes of this initiative, we've set that from 18 to 39 years old. So that's really actually making me feel quite youthful as that time frame is sort of expanded out than it has in the past. In addition, applicants must reside in Middlesex County, which is the region of focus for Community Futures Middlesex. That's excluding the City of London. As outlined in the presentation, applicants will communicate their business idea through a fillable PDF form that will be provided by us. The deadline to submit your business idea will be September 23rd, 2021, 11:59 p.m. Upon receiving all the business idea applications, a committee with representations from Community Futures Middlesex, our staff, our board, RBC, Middlesex County Economic Development, and potentially the Middlesex Workforce Development Partnership, will select up to 10 business ideas to proceed to be considered participants in the program. So those participants will provide with those resources that I mentioned earlier from the GoForth Institute, access to additional resources available through RBC Future Launch, as well as the potential for some one-on-one mentoring from people that are involved in supporting this initiative. They'll also be provided through GoForth Institute a copy of a workbook that will be used to help you further document the development of your ideas throughout this journey. Before we outline the application process, and the important dates and deadlines, let's take a look at GoForth Institute's 5 characteristics, which Scott mentioned earlier, of an entrepreneurial mindset. This list of traits might give you a better idea in terms of what it takes to be an entrepreneur and whether this initiative is for you. So the first characteristic of the great entrepreneur is passion. Because entrepreneurship is difficult physically, mentally, and emotionally, your passion for business and entrepreneurship can ease these challenges and adversities. This trait also means that you should feel passionate about what you plan to do with your business idea. It may be easier said than done, but if you're more likely to be successful if you have a passion for what you do and take pride in it. Entrepreneurship is really an opportunity to do what you love. Regardless of how passionate you are or how viable your business idea is, starting any type of business is risky. As an entrepreneur, you need to appreciate, I guess, and understand the inevitable risks and uncertainties in this career path. You should feel comfortable with dealing with risk by understanding how to evaluate risk and navigate uncertain times. Perhaps even some of your ideas have emerged from the uncertain times that we're currently living in right now. There's no more time in history where we face so much uncertainty in looking at things. So you need to do, I guess the lesson here is that you really need to do your homework and take educated risk, which is not always possible because of the uncertainties. So as the COVID pandemic has demonstrated, it's crucial to have the ability to adapt to your environment. The business world is always changing and evolving, which is why entrepreneurs must stay in tune with emerging trends. Successful business people embrace change, while those who fail to adapt knowingly or unknowingly often get left behind. In business, you should always expect the unexpected and have the flexibility to pivot if necessary. It can feel encouraging to develop business ideas, but it will amount to nothing without the drive and determination required to fulfill your vision. So in reality, new entrepreneurs and business owners do not have great odds of succeeding. However, it's important to not to be discouraged by the odds of not succeeding, as your drive and determination can be the difference. The keys are becoming a strong decision maker and having the ability to move forward despite any difficult and uncertain times. Last, but certainly not least, you need the energy to fuel your efforts as an entrepreneur. Remember that entrepreneurship is a marathon and not a sprint. The idea of becoming an entrepreneur in itself should energize you in itself. So while becoming an entrepreneur is physically, mentally, and emotionally draining at times, successful business people surround themselves with a strong support system and a network of people they can depend on. This is the ultimate goal of hosting the Middlesex Youth Entrepreneurship Initiative. We want to motivate, energize, and provide you with access to the support and resources to help you explore and further develop upon your business ideas. Now that we're more familiar with the entrepreneurial mindset, let's outline the details of the Youth Entrepreneurship Initiative, starting with the business idea application. Often, as we find, the hardest step for most entrepreneurs is getting your initial ideas down onto paper. We've designed an application for this initiative to collect your initial thoughts and for not to be definitive. Chances are your business idea is going to look a lot different at the beginning of your journey than it will at the end, and that's really the progress that we want to see. So don't get, I think we tried to design the application that we've put together as a means just to collect some initial thoughts and ideas of the ideas that you want to explore. Some individuals are going to be more further down the pathway than others, but we felt this was a reasonable sort of starting point to give you some collective information that you'll be able to benefit the most from participating in the training that we're going to provide. So first section of the business idea application just asks for some general personal information, full name, home address, phone number, and email address for the participants. Then you'll be asked to briefly describe your business ideas in as few paragraphs as possible. Some ideas will be more fleshed out than others, like I mentioned, but they aim for anywhere between 1 to 3 paragraphs is all we're looking for from participants at this point. The third section is the target market, which contains 4 questions. Firstly, we'll ask you to identify your target customer, describe their characteristics. Secondly, explain the need or opportunity for your business idea that it would address. And so this is really just to collect some preliminary information to see that you're thinking about the things that you'll need to think about sort of moving forward in this journey. Thirdly, we want you to identify your direct and indirect competitors as best as you know at this point, and as well as comment on their strengths and weaknesses. And fourthly, outline the unique selling position that would distinguish your business from its competition. As I said, we're not looking for you to be definitive in this, because I think what you'll find is that this program is really geared and tailored to help you sort of think outside the box and further expand upon these initial ideas or thoughts that we're looking for you to capture at this point. So under the operations section, again, we're looking at, do you have an understanding of what equipment might be needed to operate your business? It also asks you, is your business, where it will be located? Are you thinking about running it out of your home or another location? Whether or not your idea is a business idea is a product service, you should also explain the specific steps and how you produce and provide it. Lastly, you should start thinking about your business's marketing strategy. So you're going to have to look at providing, stepwise progression and thinking about how you might sell your product or providing your service, as well as the time you would need to sell and provide to other parties to be involved. So additionally, the ways in which you would reach your target market and raise awareness of your business. These are all things that, we're just looking for some preliminary thoughts on at this stage, but these are things that you're going to be able to further develop and expand upon through this program that we're putting you through in entrepreneurial training. So there's also an optional section for you to provide any other information or details that you might want to communicate to us about your business idea that were not addressed in those previous sections. And so the application itself, do your best effort to fill it out as completely as possible. These forms will be sent back to us at info@cfmiddlesex.ca for review and evaluation. But feel free to contact us at any point if you have any questions or concerns, or if we can be of any support in helping you think about whether, what sections are relevant to your business or other things that you might want to talk to us about. So we'll send a follow-up email to all registrants that expressed an interest in this program, and a link to download the business idea application. It also will be made available on our website after today's session. And I'm assuming that I'm not monitoring the chat, but I believe, and I'll just check here, we'll also provide some links in the chat section today here for your convenience, but you will receive a follow-up communication to today's session if you've registered and signed up, and we'll provide you with that information there. So now that we're more familiar with the business idea application, we'll just highlight a few important dates and timelines to keep in mind. So the first major timeline is for the completion of the business idea application. And so we put a timeline of September 23rd, 2021 at 11:59 p.m., which I mentioned earlier as a date. This deadline's 2 weeks from today, which should give you an idea of the amount of effort that we want you to put into completing the application. So a committee involving sponsors and partners will start reviewing the applications following the submission deadline with 10 successful applicants chosen no later than the end of September, or September 30th, 2021. All the applicants will be informed of their standing in the program and provided with feedback. The 10 successful applicants will be invited to participate in a follow-up session that we were looking to schedule on October 7th, 2021, to highlight not only the GoForth Institute and how you can access and utilize those resources, but also, as Anne mentioned, we'll be profiling some additional resources that you'll be able to access through our partnership and relationship with RBC, which is the Future Launch Program. And so that's sort of the intent of that follow-up session, or the preparation session. So following that preparation session, the goal is to have participants complete the GoForth Institute's entrepreneurial training program within an 8-week time period. This timeline is to keep participants engaged in the program before reconnecting. Reconnection consultations will take place at the beginning of December, with the end date to be fully determined. But really the intent of that would be to reconnect after you've participated in the program, access some of the resources, and to sort of see where, to learn about your experiences in utilizing the resources that we've made available, and also, to see if there's anything else that we can do to help you, in further developing your ideas or your businesses. So participants are able to, I'm not saying it's going to take you this amount of time to complete those all elements of the program, and in certain cases participants may complete the training program in less than 8 weeks and choose to reconnect ahead of schedule, and we're completely open to that. This is not intended to be a rigorous kind of definitive program. Our doors are always open, as well as the other sponsors and partners in our program are here to help along the way, and recognizing that each person's journey is going to be a little different from each other. So please reach out to us at any point if we can be of any assistance or support. That being said, thank you for participating and attending today's information session. As our partners have indicated, as well as ourselves, we're really excited about being able to offer this opportunity to youth in Middlesex County. Thanks again to Scott, Cara, and Anne for taking the time to participate today. Again, thank you to the organizations, both RBC, Middlesex County Economic Development, for sponsors, being a sponsor and partner. And again, if you have any questions at all or concerns, and you want to contact us at the information provided on the screen, that's great, and we'll connect you with some support and that type of thing. And best of luck, and enjoy the rest of the day, everyone. Thank you.